This boy just entered a college student's classroom. Everyone looked at the boy with curious and strange eyes. How can a 6-year-old boy study with them? But soon they had to respect this boy. The quantum physics knowledge that the teacher is teaching. The boy is only 6 years old, but he understands everything. The students around him had to copy the boy's exercise. This boy's name is Fred. Fred can even remember being born. 1-year-old Fred knows how to spell, surprising his mother. In elementary school, other students are reading elementary school textbooks, but Fred sat, admiring Van Gogh's paintings. The teacher saw that the boy was not focused, so he called him to stand up and read the lesson. Fred just opened his mouth and read a philosophical poem. In music class, other kids are still learning how to play the piano. Fred has already started composing his own music. Break time. Normal kids like to play. The rest sit in a corner and draw pictures on the ground. The school bell rang, and the boy's painting was also completed, raising Fred alone. Dede soon realized his natural talent. However, she does not want her son to live the life of a genius. She hopes he will have a happy and complete childhood like normal children. Because Fred lacks a father's love, Mom always tries her best to make Fred happy. Sitting on the bus, she will teach Fred how to swing. The boy sitting by the window, reading advanced math, didn't forget to tease his son. Fred's abilities come to the attention of Jane Grierson, a former music prodigy and now a psychologist running a school for gifted children. She asks permission from Dede to admit Fred to the school in order to develop his intellectual gifts in ways that a public school cannot. Everyone knows that being famous can make you rich. 99% of parents will agree to let their children get the best education, but what made the professor can't believe it was that Dede decided to refuse this offer. She does not want to give her son to a stranger, much less for him to receive any upbringing that is unusual for his age. She absolutely will not turn her son into a tool to make money. Then, without saying much, she took her son away from this place. When he got home, Fred stood by the window, watching the other children play. But the boy couldn't get along with them. Fred is a genius, whose thinking is superior to other children his age. Fred was isolated because he was too smart. A 6-year-old boy like him feels lonelier than ever. Fred's birthday is coming up. He meticulously made invitations to his classmates' birthday parties. But just a second later, the classmate threw the card on the ground. Fred is completely desperate. No one has come to celebrate his birthday this time. Only now did Dede learn that Fred had no way of getting along with other children his age. Finally, Dede decided to call Jane. She wanted to try sending Fred to the research center for a few days. Fred joins other brilliant young people and participates in Jane's Odyssey of the Mind event as part of the spring. There he meets one of his heroes, who is one of Jane's prized pupils, the brilliant but slightly bizarre math magician Damon Wells. In the competition, Damon excels at all. MC asked a difficult question that Damon could not answer immediately. Only Fred, sitting in the stands, suddenly smiled mysteriously. In the boy's head, the numbers kept moving. After only a few seconds, the answer appeared in his mind, 24. Fred was startled. Jane also turned to look at the boy. During the break, Damon threatened Fred and forced him to be quiet. Jane stopped them, and Fred had the opportunity to show his talent. The examiner asks a question. Determine what the cube root of 379,6416 is. Fred easily answered 156. Whether it's a 4-digit multiplication or an 8-digit square root, Fred can come up with the answer in seconds. The whole hall applauded him. Damon is upset with Fred. However, Damon warms up to Fred when they are out horseback riding on Jane's ranch, which is Fred's first insight into a world outside academia. Damon tells him, it's not the size of a man's IQ that matters. Then Damon had an accident. When he wakes up, Damon seems to have lost his former superior mind and become a normal boy. Because of this incident, Fred was sent home. But this time, when he came home, Fred was very different from before. Out of necessity, Dede sold Fred's piano and painted one on the wall. Fred is extremely angry. He used a lot of arguments to quarrel with his mother. Dede was extremely helpless. Suddenly the phone rang. It was the friend in the final of the competition with him. They talked very happily at this point. Dede felt she could not give him as much goodness as Jane. Jane came to the house again. Jane said that Fred had won the chance to get into a famous university. This opportunity is not easy to get. Dede hesitated for a long time before finally agreeing. Not long after Fred came to the university lecture hall. Fred may have superintelligence, but he still can't fit in this place. After school, Fred still sits and reads a book. The other students all say that he is a bookworm. Fred doesn't have any friends. Jane laid out a strict study plan for Fred. Ask Fred to drink a brain-boosting smoothie. Whatever you do, go according to plan. After school, Fred went to Jane's house. Before dinner, there is a puzzle game. Fred is getting more and more depressed day by day. That day, a globe came flying out of nowhere and hit Fred on the head. Jane take Fred to the hospital right away. Jane is afraid that Fred's intellect will be affected. Fortunately, after regaining consciousness, Fred is still normal. That day on the street, Fred met a boy with prosthetic legs. Fred comes to chat, but when the other boy turned his head, Fred was surprised because the boy looked exactly like him. Fred wakes up from his dream but can't go back to sleep. Before, every time he had a nightmare, his mother would lull him to sleep, and mother and daughter will play guessing the shadow of the object on the wall, keep guessing, and Fred will be able to sleep. But now, Mom is no longer with Fred. Fred goes to see Jane, but she is busy working. Just tell him to drink some water or turn on the nightlight. Fred left disappointed. That night, the boy really missed his mother. He called his mother, but there was another boy's voice on the other end. Dede wanted to buy him a piano, so she worked as a nanny for a rich family. The next day, Fred received a postcard from his mother. Inside is a photo of Mom with other kids. Fred thinks Mom doesn't need him anymore. At this moment, it suddenly rained. Fred is sad. He tastes the raindrops. Jane is asked to bring Fred onto a TV panel discussion show on the topic of gifted children. The host asked about the mother of the Fed, but Fred said his mother had passed away. Dede is sad. She wanted to see why her son said that, but now there's a cry for help outside. Is a rich kid who unfortunately fell into swimming pool. She jumped down to save the boy. Fortunately, after being rescued, the boy did not have any serious problems. On the other hand, Fred no longer wishes to be a celebrity. Fred deliberately didn't answer the questions. Fred recites a childish poem before taking off his microphone and walking out of the studio. Jane chased after him, but there was no sign of Fred. Fred went to the bus stop alone. When it was dusk, the boy came home. I see the empty house in front of me. Fred almost cried. He walked over to the piano his mother had drawn and quietly played the piano on the wall. Fred broke Mom's voiceless phone. Fred now understands that the only person he needs is his mother. Not long after, Dede also came home. Fred hugged his mother tightly and said that he missed her very much. Listen, Freddie, the day you were born, the first minute I saw you, you know what I said? I said, this kid's special. You are not like other children, and I will never leave you. Mommy, I love you. I love you, too, kiddo. 1 year later, Fred has adjusted to the pressures of being a child genius, particularly after an even younger student is admitted to Jane's school. Dede hosts a well-attended birthday party for Fred, reconciling Fred's emotional development with his intellect. Mother is the greatest woman in the world, and when you succeed, everyone will be by your side. But only Mother is there to keep us company when we fall.